Welcome to another full process video. Right now I have a cat. I have little orange boy Bjorn while I'm recording this voiceover, so he's going to say a couple of words. Okay, Bjorn? That's it. That's all he's got. That's all he wanted. And now he's sitting happily in his window perch. Switching gears back to the drawing. I thought of this piece late at night, a couple months ago, and I wanted it to be like two different energies mixing together and the colors that they would make in between. So I entitled this one Meld with Me, and it's kind of like, yeah, two different types of energy or just like color mixing together to make something new. In these beginning stages, I'm going to just sketch out kind of the basic outline, the basic shape that I want, and then after that I will fill it in with a little bit of color. If you like my content, check out my Patreon. I post my tutorials and all of these videos early, 1 week early on Patreon for all my paid subscribers. I'm going to start using it as a behind the scenes and life updates place as well. I'm also going to do a monthly newsletter from Patreon as well. But if that's not your thing, just like, subscribe, hit all the buttons on YouTube. I'll get static income from them. So just enjoy my content, put it on in the background, and like and subscribe. That's all I can ask for. The colors I wanted to combine for this piece are pink, reddish color pink, going to red, going to purple, going to blue. So really the two colors that I wanted are purple and pink. And then I wanted them to blend into each other. In retrospect, I think I would have liked to start with red, going to pink, going to purple, going to blue. But pink is one of my favorite colors, especially a hot pink, like rhodamine pink. That's one of my absolute favorites. So I was really wanting to start with that and my other favorite color of blue and have them interact with each other and mix together in the middle. So I think it turned out good, but it would have been better in my mind if maybe red was the starting point. I also want a lot of dimension, flowing, combining things together. So I'm going to put over-unders that weren't planned in the beginning, but as I started drawing this, it really needed that. So we're going to start off with pink. We're going to meld it with a little bit of red, and then we're going to move on to purple. In these early stages, I also didn't know if I wanted gold accents or if I wanted silver accents, so that's still up in the air right now. I thought gold would be a really nice complementary color for these warmer colors to really bring out the warmth and depth of those, but silver would also be really good, and it would bring out the cool tones, the purple, the blue. So there's a little bit of inner fight there as to which color will be the correct color. This piece is inspired by me and my partner Nikki moving in together. This was in the heart of moving in, and no matter how much you love somebody, it's still stressful to move in with somebody just because we're combining worlds and making things new and things are changing. So it's always a little bit of, there's always anxiety, but overall it's good. Nikki has been oh so patient with me. She's so nice, so kind, so gentle with everything. It's been so easy to move in together. Even though her corgi Gary does not like cats, they're getting used to each other. They're starting to learn how to be around each other, and he's getting better about the cats. So if that's the most stressful part of things, then I think things are going very well. So that's more or less the message of this piece, of just how to combine with somebody else. I wanted this color red to not be the focal point and not really be too overpowering, because this red is very, very vibrant, very rich, very, very much in your face. So I wanted to try to limit the amount of red that I put down on paper drastically. You can always put more color on paper. You can't take it back off. I like to go back and forth between light and dark, but you can always make a light color darker, but you can't make a dark color lighter. So I find it's best to try to balance those out and make things as even and easy for yourself as possible. These little over and unders, I find that I have to count how many lines I go from one side to the other to make them even. I don't think anybody's ever going to count them themselves unless they're being really, really scrutinous, but I like to make sure that there is an even line count between the lines that go in and the lines that come out from underneath the shape. And probably the only person that's ever going to look at that is me. I've had a couple of people comment recently about my process in posting things and making videos and whatnot. So I'm going to list off a few things that I do while I'm recording my voiceover for this. For starts, I am not very organized. At least I don't think so. So for this type of stuff, I like to have a Google document or a document in general off to the side that I can type things out as I go along. If I need to, I can list times and other things, other cues that I need to do. If I say anything about sharing a link in the description, I don't have to remember. I can just look at my document and so on. So with that in mind, I'm going to list a few things that I was doing while I was drawing for this. I really like the podcast Distractable. It's Markiplier, MySkirm, and Lord Minion 777. They are three YouTubers that I've been following for years now, and they just crack me up so much. They're really big influencers, and they don't really need more attention, but their content is hilarious. So I would say go check them out. The link for that is in the description below. I've been watching a lot of Magic the Gathering content as well. It's a game that I've been playing since I was 8 years old, so that's 30 years now. When I was a kid, I remember looking at the artwork and wishing and wanting to be able to create those pieces, and how impressive it was, how imaginative it was to see all these different things, creatures, and everything all on cardstock. It helped me with reading. I did not do very well at learning to read when I was younger, so it helped me to learn how to read better. And even through my adult years, it helps with comprehension because you have to understand these silly rules. I've been watching Tolarian Community College. The professor is really funny, and he's older than me, and it just makes me feel young because he doesn't get so many of these the slang words and whatnot. It's over his head, and it makes me laugh. I've been watching some Shuffle Master, which is Game Grumps. They do video games. They have funny little segments. It's by Aaron, and I really like. He opens packs, and that's very enjoyable for me. Some of my favorite artists in Magic the Gathering are Ron Spencer, Mark Tedin, Wayne England. Those are the artists that I remember from when I was a kid, and they are still making Magic cards. They're still creating artwork for these cards, and it's awesome to see. I love that it's another way for an artist to make money and make being an artist viable. I will put a whole bunch of links to all that stuff in the description, so check it out if you want to see any of those artists or any of the other stuff that I mentioned. I'm also going to give a friend a shout out here. She has a podcast. I've known her for 6 years, I think now, somewhere in there. She does a podcast called Brushwork. Check out her podcast. Her name is Stephanie Scott. And again, I'll put links to her stuff in the description. Her artwork is really cool. It's all acrylic, and she puts highlights of gold in between these geometric shapes, and it's very, very cool. It kind of reminds me of quilting in a way, but just with brush strokes. And the direction of her brush strokes are very intentional. So one goes one way, one goes another way, and it creates these really interesting perspectives and has some optical illusion elements to it, and I really, really like that. She has a YouTube. She has all sorts of things. There's so much content of hers to enjoy, so please check her stuff out. I've gotten to the point of laying down some blue now. Blue is my all-time favorite color, and this is very close to my favorite color of blue, which is ultramarine. I wanted to get to the blue portion of this as quickly as possible so that I can try to meld these two colors together, all the different colors together to make one very, very fun drawing. With the basic shape laid out, I can then start doing more of the dimension that I want. The over and unders, the combining of colors. This is really the starting point of how the drawing will end up. I feel like I'm leaving purple out of this equation too. This color of purple I really like. This pen I really like. The company I really like. So this is Sakura Pigma Micron. That's the brand and then the type of pen. And this is a very rich, just very overpowering purple. It's kind of like a rich meal. It's very, very dense. and I like it a lot. I use it to go over these lighter colors as well and make a darker spot, a nice combining of two different colors with this dark, rich purple. I did feel for a little while that the purple was overpowering and kind of drawing attention away from the red and blue and pink, but it kind of gives a little bit of a balance to it. It's good to have very distinct, very strong features of a piece, and this purple really achieves that. Even though I'm the one that makes all these pieces, looking back, it's amazing how each and every one of these drawings is different. Even though it's using the same technique, it has a completely different feel from one piece to another, and that's really nice. It feels really good to be able to look at something and go, that is different than anything I've created. Even though it's all in the same vein of abstract line art, it's still really nice to have that contrast of composition. In 2018, 19, and early 2020, I created some pieces based on Norse mythology, about the different realms that are in Norse mythology. Unfortunately, I wasn't into recording the whole process at the time, so I only have pictures of it, but at some point I'd like to be able to create something based on those. One of my pieces, which is named Alfheim Gateway, that one I've sold the most prints of over the years. It's very popular and it hits people the right way. It has a tree on it and it's very vibrant in its colors. And it's based on some of the most interesting mythology, in my opinion. I listened to another podcast called the Norse Mythology Podcast, and it covers all sorts of interesting traditions of the Norse people. So for me to be able to embody some of that and put it onto paper in my own way was really fun and really special to me. There's a book by Neil Gaiman called Norse Mythology. I've listened to it 3, maybe 4 times all the way through, and every time it's just so much fun. He narrates some of the bigger stories from Norse mythology, and he's written them in his own words, which he's a very good writer. So all these stories are very fantastically written. It also helps that he has a very nice speaking voice, and he's English, so it gets a little bit of that kind of mysticism feel. I don't know why I feel like that, but English accents have a little bit of extra specialness to them. The shapes and strands that go underneath the main shape, they take quite a bit more concentration to be able to figure out where the lines connect from one to the other underneath the overall shape, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But it takes more concentration to make those. I sometimes take the easy way out and say that the lines start underneath the shape and come out from underneath that. And that kind of simplifies the whole process, but still takes more thought to it. Adding more dimension to these pieces is never a bad thing, so a little extra concentration here and there is a good thing. I oftentimes don't know how to make these shapes end. At the end of each of these drawings, it's hard for me to know how to make them end. So a lot of times I'll just make them end as a pointy bit or a little bit of a bulbous pointy bit. It's just how I do things, how the process ends. I don't think it's a bad thing, but at some point I'd like to experiment with making a slightly better transition from drawing lines all the way down to no lines whatsoever. Right about here is when I started to think, how much am I going to add to this piece? Should I stop now and fill it in with metallic colors? Or should I continue forward and make more over-unders to give more dimension? Trying to find that balance of where is too much, where is too little. I think I drew for another couple hours after this, so this is definitely not the stopping point. Speaking of length, I think this drawing took me in total of about 3.5, 4 hours. And at almost this halfway point, that means I'm about an hour and a half or 2 hours into the total drawing of this piece, which I find amazing that I can take a 4-hour drawing and squish it down to 36 minutes. That's wild. It also means that drawing that took me 4 hours to draw takes me about 4 hours to 6 hours to edit everything to that 36 minutes. It's a long process going from A to B, And if my pieces took longer, this would be even more difficult. Difficult might not be the right word though. Maybe just more of a challenge, or I would have to split things up into different categories or different ways to post it all in segments. Because sometime in the near future, I would really like to do large pieces based on some of the night terrors and nightmares that I had as a child. And in more recent years, the sleep paralysis, which night terrors and nightmares are a variety of sleep paralysis. When I was a kid, I had so many night terrors that ended in me just walking around or running around and my mom trying to calm me down or some way to come back to reality. Because I was still very much asleep, just walking around as if I was awake, saying crazy things, looking for my head, or monsters were around or something. And being able to share that experience in some sort of physical drawing form in my own way would be really, really healing, not only for myself, but also maybe help others with some of these sleep issues, and know that we're not all alone in these strange nighttime occurrences. I find that it would be an interesting contrast of my very flowing and very intricate style mixed with the sheer terror of some of these dreams and nightmares. It'd be an interesting thing to try to capture in my style, and I'm really up to the challenge, and I have many thoughts about this. Drop a comment below if you've ever experienced some sleep paralysis or night terrors or anything like that. It's good to know other people are out there with these occurrences. I have one in mind that's kind of reminiscent of the Eye of Sauron from Lord of the Rings. Just kind of that being seen feel, and the color scheme kind of similar to the eye as well. Because a lot of times when you're seen in a dream in that way, it's very scary and extremely jarring. At this point in the drawing, I wanted to go the extra mile and get a lot of these over and unders happening. Even though it would add quite a bit more time, probably double the time. I really wanted to have a lot of over and under, and the combination of these colors and the combination of red going to blue and not just being to purple, and breaking some of the rules that I laid down at the beginning of this drawing. With every drawing, I make a set of guidelines to follow. So for this one, it was the blue wouldn't touch the pink or the red, and the purple wouldn't touch the pink, and that kind of thought of like these things cannot combine. And at this point, I decided that I wanted to break that to give more dimension. I'm doing this all while keeping in mind my thought of not going overboard, because I do tend to put too much down on paper, and it jumbles up the piece and it makes it look too busy. It also helped that I was drawing on multiple days. Over maybe a week and a half, I completed this piece, and that allows me to walk into the room and see it with fresh eyes and go, oh, I need a little bit of something here, or something over there needs to change, and so on and so forth. It's nice to look at a drawing with those fresh new eyes instead of doing everything all at once, because then it gets a little muddy along the way. Get too focused on one thing and ignore another thing, and it gets out of hand, and then you fill in the page way too much. At least that's my experience with over-creating. It was also really nice in the chaotic time of moving in and getting everything arranged and figuring things out, to have this piece to come back to as like stable ground, a stable, safe place to explore these feelings and get it out on paper a little bit. I've said quite a few times, but art is therapy, and this really, really helps kind of ground myself and be able to go on with my life a little bit more peacefully, a little more level-headed. If you've been following my YouTube over the last month and a half, 2 months, I've been posting almost every day a short, so a little 15 to 1 minute clip of these drawings. So if you like short format drawing stuff, it's at 1,000 times speed, so it's very, very fast. 17-ish seconds is kind of what I've been posting recently. So it's nice to get the long format of this mixed in with the short format of shorts. I've been gaining some pretty good traction on those as well. A couple of them have gone from 500-ish views all the way up to 50,000 views, which is really amazing. So if you're one of those people that like to watch this as well as those, thank you so much for sticking around and watching both formats. Having my YouTube channel grow in such a way is really rewarding and very fun. Seeing how my art is viewed by different people is also really interesting to get a different perspective on a much larger scale. And the people that reach out and say, hey, I was having a hard time creating and your videos really helped me get through that is such a nice compliment and so uplifting for me. It really does bring me great joy. I appreciate each and every one of you for joining in this adventure with me. It's so much fun to do this. The goal of all of this is to be able to support me and Nikki just from this content. I know that's a long shot, and I know that's lofty goals, but I think it's doable with everybody's help. It would also be really nice to be able to give back to the community. I've applied to do some murals, and I would love to teach at a local gallery here in Ames. It would be really nice to be able to give back in such a way. It would be so nice. It would also be really nice to be able to help support my sister Cara. She's doing this artist journey as well, and she does a lot of cross-stitching. She calls herself the Cross-Stitch Witch. I'll put a link to her stuff in the description as well. She's made quite a few t-shirts for me, where she cross-stitches a little something or other on my shirt. I have one with a little hammer and anvil with a little flame. She made another one that has Hugin, one of Odin's ravens, on it. She's done a couple of shirts for me. They're so well done, and I really appreciate her skills, as well as her, my sister, because she is so amazing and wonderful. Both of us have struggled in the past, and sometimes it's just getting through the day. That's all you can do. So if you can, go support her on her YouTube channel as well as her Patreon or her Etsy shop. Links to all of that are in the description, so please go check it out. And this is where I broke that rule of not having red touch blue or pink touch blue. I really wanted to get these colors mixing in a really fun way. Some of my drawings from high school, I would make so many rules that it got almost confusing, and it was really interesting to do that. And I never explained that to anybody at the time, but it is something that I like to do with each and every one of these pieces. Make these rules, guidelines, something to go by to give this piece structure, but also be a flowing, interesting piece in of itself. This red strand that I'm drawing here gives a lot of over and under possibilities in the future. Doing these one at a time makes it so that I can draw one and get another piece of this to go underneath of it and give more and more layers to this drawing. Layers and dimension is a very good thing, especially when it is a two-dimensional thing. I find that there's not a lot of dimension unless I do something like this where it's over and under. The waves and folds to me are very flat. I don't see a lot of three-dimensional in that. And I think that's just a me thing. I don't think that's an overall thing amongst many people out there, but I know that is a me thing, so getting that extra dimension to it is kind of vital to round out this style of artwork. This is where I started putting little accents of other colors creeping up other strands. I felt like the blending of these needed to be greater than it was, and mixing in little tidbits of other colors in red or in the blue was really beneficial, I thought. Because I feel like all of these pieces are about balance, about rounding out what is there and not overcomplicating things while still making it complicated and so on. I did a series of drawings in 2021 to 2022 that was mixing smoke, two different colors over under, kind of really combining shapes and colors together. This is really building on that concept, that thought of mixing smoke, getting these strands to kind of pull together and combine in fun ways. Experimenting with form and shape and mixed with a technique is really kind of my jam. It's what I've been doing for a long time now. I'm a pretty technical guy when it comes to art, so trying to master or become better at something is really, really what I like to do. I also really don't like to say master because it just feels like there's nothing above that. You've achieved the end goal and there's nothing that you could possibly do that would be better. And I don't feel that that's true. I think you can get to a point where you've gotten so good that you have quote unquote mastered it, but you have always infinite opportunities to become better at something, or at least try new things with that something. It's kind of like kicking a ball. You can kick a ball 1,000,000 times until you're really, really good at it, but you can kick a ball 1,000,000 different ways. So it's kind of strange to say mastering kicking a ball, when that's kind of how I perceive this. At this point in the drawing, I'm happy with how the composition is, how lines are flowing, amount of ink on paper, and it's almost time to transition to the metallic inks. And I've chosen to use silver as my metallic ink. I wanted to bring out the cool colors a little bit better, the blue and the purple, kind of the pink. The pink has a little bit more warm tones to it, but definitely the blue and purple. I wanted to accent those so it would have more of a comfortable feeling, a little more cozy and cooling feeling. I always go back to the points, the beginning and end points of the whole composition, to smooth out all the rough spots and kind of just draw it out just a little bit more to make it a little more aesthetically pleasing. Without doing this, it kind of gets a little choppy and it doesn't feel complete, at least in my eyes. On this pink side, I kind of run out of space, but that's okay. I wanted to try to contain this on a single sheet of paper without going beyond the borders of the paper, but it's okay to get really close or at least bleed over the edge a little bit. I remember when I was in 5th grade, I asked my art teacher at the time, Mrs. Connolly, if it was okay to draw outside of the page, like have the composition go outside of the page. And she said, yes, that is a really good idea. And that has stuck with me all since then. My whole artistic career, since 5th grade, it's stuck with me. So Mrs. Connolly, if you're watching, thank you very much. That was really good advice. We've gotten to the silver ink portion. It looks more gray in this light. You have to get the page at different angles to really see that metallic shine. So right now it just looks like gray. And I decided that one of my little guidelines was going to be to keep it on the points, keep the silver only on the points of this and not go further into the overall composition, into the purple or the red even, highlighting the ends of this piece. I didn't intend from the beginning to get so close to the edge of the paper, but sometimes the ink kind of tells you where you're going to go on the page and how you're going to get there. I've left myself just enough room to get enough silver ink down on the tips of this piece to really make it noticeable and not be forgotten. I'm also trying to keep my lines really, really close together. I like really dense, really, really compact lines when it comes to silver ink. And that's why I also chose to do lines instead of bubbles or a different shape mixed in there too. It just feels better in my mind to have these dense silver lines that you can really see that metallic shine. I feel like the bubbles, you can kind of see the metallic shimmer, but it doesn't do the same thing as a whole bunch of these lines put together. Speaking of the metallic shimmer, I think I should describe these markers a little bit too. These are Molotow brand acrylic paint markers and pens. It's a German company, and they make a ton of products, going from pens all the way to these paint markers. The ones that I'm using are called Liquid Chrome, because they lay down such a nice silver sheen of ink. I'll put a link to this in the description below. It's also been a while since I've talked about this glove that I'm using. A lot of the time it's used for tablets or screens so that you don't, it's a thermal barrier between you and the screen so it doesn't drag or make the cursor go somewhere else. I'm using this as an anti-smudge thing. It's still possible to smudge the paper, but it makes it a lot more difficult. There's that nice barrier between me and the ink. It also helps with how much oil I'm putting into the page, because my skin always has some sort of oil or something to it, so it's nice to keep that off the page as much as possible. I usually just get these from Amazon, but I think you can get them from other places as well. And they're usually pretty inexpensive. Maybe 12 bucks for 3 to 6 of them, somewhere in there. And they're typically a 2-finger glove, so the rest of your fingers can hang out like what you see. I've been using them for 6 or 8 years now, and I've blown through maybe a half dozen or a dozen of them, so they last a really long time too, as long as you take care of them. And also if your cats don't get a hold of them and drag them across the floor and whatnot. I don't know why, but my cat Amaro, she really likes all sorts of random things to play with, and she's gotten a hold of a couple of these gloves. She's lost interest in the past couple of years, but she's just a monster when it comes to stuff like that. I've moved over to the pink side now. I'm going to fill it in as much of the pink as I can, so that I can draw it out a little bit. And like I said, I don't have much space to work with, so I'm going to try to make it as compact on that pointy tip as much as possible. And I wanted this to be really sleek and not super bumpy or undulating on either side of this piece. This part gets really satisfying, so I'm going to be quiet and let the lines speak for themselves. I decided that I wanted more than just silver, so I'm adding some gold dots and just some very select spots to make it that much more interesting. It pops a lot more with this on there. It doesn't need a lot, it just needs a little bit to make it shine that much more. Let me know if you think that's a good combination of colors, of all of these colors put together, and how it all kind of plays with itself. Thank you all so much for watching and enjoying my content. I know I said it earlier, but if you want to see my content early, check out my Patreon. I'm just starting to figure out more about Patreon and its features. I've had a Patreon for many years. I just haven't used it much over the last four-ish years. And a lot has changed since then. So I'm figuring it out, deciding how I want to use it. So if you have any suggestions or thoughts or anything, let me know as well. If you have any questions or thoughts, just leave a comment, and I always love adding to my list of content to create from the thoughts all of you guys have. Find me on other social media platforms. I've got a bunch, so just look, it's my name, and you'll be able to find me pretty easy. Also, let me know if I've forgotten any links or anything. If you're looking for something in the description and you don't see it, I'm known to forget stuff, so if it's not there, let me know. I'll figure it out and update it for you. This piece really didn't need too much gold accent at all. Here's the piece freshly finished, and then we're going to move on to some money shots. All in all, about 4 hours of total drawing, lots of different color. I really like how this turned out, and I think the little dots really makes it speak. I actually had to share my desk with my cat Mushi for this. He's sleeping in the cat bed right above here, so I didn't want to disturb him, so I just let him sleep and worked around him for this. There's the man himself, looking out the window, cozy, so cozy. What a lovely man. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.